Welcome back to Freedom to Shift. I'm Dr. Mo, and I'm here today with Mark Manderson, and we are going to talk about healing, our journeys, hopefully those two things together, and anything that kind of shows up in between. So, Mark, I am so glad we finally got on. We got to meet face to face. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I love a lot of the stuff that you do and you share, and there's a lot of alignment. So we'll see where this goes. But if I just make another friend, then so be it.
Yes, we're going to make lots of friends because everybody who listens says, oh, wait, I can do that. So, which brings me to tell me a little bit about your journey, your career, kind of how you ended up where you are today and what you do.
So I tell people I was recruited, but not the normal recruitment way. Out of college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So in Orange County, what do? You get into commercial real estate. The money was great, but I was lifeless. I had a band at the same time. We just got a record deal. So I had all these things going on. Deep down inside, I was dying. Like I had family around me. So I was physically connected, but emotionally I felt alone. And so I went to the doctor. I was actually diagnosed clinically depressed. I became suicidal, and I'm just like something wasn't adding up. I thought when you get the job, you're done with school, everything is looking great in your life, you should be happy. And I just could not find that happiness, that contentment, that fulfillment. And so I kind of hopped around for a little bit. Record deal ended up falling through. This is when Napster first came out. And so the whole record industry was shifting and changing. And I played the victim card so damn well. I got really good at that. And so my dad actually had built out, at first it was going to be battered women and children's shelter. And then it turned out that there was a bigger need for people getting out of treatment, needing to kind of reintegrate back into society, into life, and how to make that connection. And so about every month or two, he would call and say, do you want to come work with us? And my actual reaction was hell no, because one of the other things I forgot to mention was when I was 8, I walked in on my aunt. I was the one who found her. She overdosed of heroin and meth back in the day. And it really affected me to the point where I buried that memory for so long. I didn't even know until therapy much later came out. I'm like, oh, that's why I've got all these different traumatic events in my life and have these stories that keep me stuck. But one day he said, I want you to pray about it. And he'd never said that before. And I was kind of like, okay. That night I prayed. And the next morning I felt this like heat in my soloplex. I don't even know how to explain it. Like physically, I don't know what it is other than you want to call it a miracle, divine intervention. And this seed was planted. And so I gave my notice at the business that was doing really well. And I began to just kind of learn being with addicts and alcoholics and just asking questions of, why did you choose to drink? What's going on? The whole willpower thing. And then is it a disease, nature versus nurture? And through these conversations, I started seeing a lot of unmet needs. Like I was so ignorant. I thought once you go to treatment, you get done, you're cured, you go live your life. And so just by being that person that's not afraid to ask the dumb questions most others are, I've found in school it sucked, but in real life, it works out really well. And so I just started wanting to provide value and started really learning and went back to school and got educated. And so from there, it went from sober living to outpatient, which is recognized now. Back then, there was no outpatient, and it was just helping bridge the gap of life skills and working through the crap that life throws at you. And then now we just hit a quarter of a century this year. We do everything from medical detox, inpatient residential treatment, outpatient day treatment, virtual. We have a family program. Like we've just built out this beautiful infrastructure to help educate everybody to help heal the core issue, which is not necessarily a drinking or drug problem, but the unmet need, what's really going on that's driving that as a tool to sedate.
I have so much to say.
So that's my short intro that
there's so much. I was on the ground in the ER for a while, a long time. And, a lot of what happens in an emergency situation is predicated by many years of either, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, food abuse, the whole thing, right? It's all, I had someone tell me many years ago, well, alcohol's not my problem. Alcohol's my solution. And knowing that, understanding that, feeling that, it gave me a lot of compassion on the ground in the ED because let me not generalize, some healthcare workers look down because they don't really understand addiction. And God bless them, because if you can't understand it, that means you don't understand it. And I think that's an amazing, amazing thing, because I do understand it. When addiction has you by the throat, it's non-discriminatory. It doesn't care how much of a high achiever you are. You want that substance, whatever it is, more than your next breath. And that addiction might even be fear, or approval, or achievement. It's that chasing. It's the chasing. And eventually the chasing gets so painful that people turn to substances and then they end up with you.
Yeah, well, and we have people. So most people assume it's all substance. We've actually had a few clients that never did drugs, didn't drink. It was gambling. Some just purely sex. A lot of it's polysubstance, though. But yeah, it's trying to identify and find out what is the feeling I'm looking for when I reach out for that, whatever my method of sedation is, and that's where we want to get to the core.
Absolutely. And a lot of my material is listened to by doctors. My whole goal is to change medicine. Little goals. And I want to change medicine, though, from the patient side and the provider side. Because we know, anyone who's heard of a doctor knows that we're struggling. We're struggling as a society with medicine, with the way healthcare has gotten out of and nobody feels effective. And I think that's one of the things that I see, and I want your take on this, is that from day one almost we are overloaded, right? We're overloaded with opinions. You get the layer of the opinion. You get memories. You get incidents. You find, God forbid, a relative overdosed. You get in an accident. Your parents split up. There's all these layers. And in the end, it's not that healing, that relaxing. And when I say relaxing, I'm not talking a spa day. I'm talking for your soul to take a breath.
A spiritual spa day. Let's do that.
Yes, exactly. It's not adding something else necessarily. It's getting rid of, and that was actually, weirdly enough, I've returned to this. I'm sort of surprised. My first book is called Happy First. That whole book was about removing what's between you and that happy that is your innate birthright. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to achieve it. You are at your core happy. It's that overload in between that just crushes us.
Yeah, well, one of the things I admire about you is that you are a doctor that leads from where she lives. So one of the things that I've found is broken in the healthcare system. And again, no judgment, blame, or shame, or guilt. I just like to observe things and then just kind of hold up a mirror. And if it triggers someone, I take accountability for my actions, but not for how the other person feels. But I remember my childhood doctor, and even in high school and college, he was morbidly obese. And it was interesting because we're taught to just trust the white lab coat, like whatever says goes. And this was before the internet. Now I think we've gone the other way where people don't trust enough and they go, well, I read this on WebMD and this is what I have. So it's not black or white, right? But what I noticed is the reason why there's so much struggle, and again, it's just my opinion, is if I'm going to a doctor and they're only looking at parts of sickness and they're not living a lifestyle of active and health and spiritual and all these other things, it's really difficult. And so that's where, and this has only been maybe the last 10 years of my life, where I started saying, instead of going to the doctor when I'm sick, what if I found a doctor, and I didn't even know this is more new, but double board certified in, I think it's longevity now they're recognizing. And so I went to a doctor who looks fit. I mean, he does not look his age, lifts more than I lift, very happy, active lifestyle. And we're going for, I want to go to the doctor when I'm healthy and say, what's working? Where are my levels that could potentially create an issue down the line? And it completely changed the game. I'll give you an example. Before I started living this way, I would get sick about every 1 to 2 months. Believe it or not, I document most of my life, and I would write it down. I'm like, I missed like 10 days of work, not for fun, to stay home and sleep and to rest. This can't be healthy. As I started finding holistic, I like Eastern meets Western, and I started incorporating these things. I can't tell you, knock on wood, the last time I took a sick day. I take vacation days now and weeks, and I'm using that time and building the business to be able to do things remotely with the families. My kids get older and living a very healthy, active lifestyle. And that is where doctors, and I'll say therapists as well, if they live this lifestyle, the quality of life, the fulfillment, and also the longevity of how we're able to impact and affect other people constantly day in and day out and not burn out. Like that to me is why I wanted to come on here and kind of talk with you to find out, like, okay, I'm seeing this in my circle. How do we continue to get this out? Because life changes when I call it healthy selfish. I put myself first fruits.
I like that. I call it performance first in the morning because I'm not a morning person, for example. I ask my mom, born that way, do not wake me up in the morning. I now have my nice little Apple Watch to tap me gently. That's the best way when another human is not involved. But so I have to have performance first. The first thing I do is a workout, not usually, depending. It's, sometimes I'll do more than one during the day. And sometimes it's a terrible workout. It is going through the motions. Doesn't matter. I stack the day. Well, yes, I absolutely see it in my circles. Let's pull this back to what we could do for others if we did it first for ourselves. And our practice, my practice that I founded, it's called Active Medical Solutions. And over the past 6 months or so, I've gone through this transition where now you'll see the hashtag of AMS lifestyle. This is the lifestyle I live. I live the AMS lifestyle. I want to get people living this AMS lifestyle. And I want people to ask, so what does that mean? And it means exactly what you said, Mark. It means you're living, you're walking your talk. I'm not putting on a white coat saying, believe me because of this. I'm saying words, believe me because I will tell you. I told someone on a live this morning, they asked me a question, a thyroid question. I said, that's actually beyond the scope of what I can pull up. I could research it for you, but I don't know the answer. I'm more than willing to say, I don't know the answer. I know where we can go to find it. But as far as me giving, it's the Weebles, You've got to be a Weeble because you're going to have things coming at you all the time. And if you're just running on fumes, and I really dislike that, but I don't like the word burnout. I don't like running on fumes because I just think it's complete and utter cognitive overload, expectation overload, food overload. We're just carrying all this excess garbage. It's tiring.
Yeah. We've become a world of excess.
And I'm not saying to go minimalist. That's not me. But what matters, we should Marie Kondo this shit. Only keep what matters. Only keep what brings you joy. Well, and that's not, go ahead.
It's true. And everything is bombarding us because we have access. I remember when my wife and I got married, I don't know how we started doing this. It's from a premarital class we took together. We made a decision, we're not going to watch the news. And what's funny is there's so many people back then, we just hit 18 years, but back then people say oh my gosh, you're going to miss out on life. I'm like, I'm finding actually I'm much happier. And anything that I need to know, people tell me about. And so it's amazing as I stop, and nowadays it's no longer the news, it's the social media. And it's like, if I am not glued to the screen, I can go ahead and have cognitive thinking and actually choose what I want to think about, what I want to do. And again, it's this each morning of creating that serenity so I can make sure, checking with myself, man, you good? Yeah, I'm good. Here's what we're going to do. And by having a process and then going on to be the best doctor you can that day, or therapist or business owner, entrepreneur, whatever it is. But I see so many people living reactionary instead of response able, meaning able to respond whatever life throws at you.
I do fall into that trap, that reactionary trap. I think we all do, right? We're human.
You mean you're human?
For sure, yes. And it's funny, I stopped watching the news in 2009. It was my last year in residency. Kudos to you and your spouse for doing it together. My husband does look at the news and lets me know. I'm like, are we at war or anything? Just so I know. Because more than half of the news stories on the news were my patients that day. Because we were in a level 1 trauma center, and I thought, I don't need to live through this twice. Not to mention they get the story wrong. So, and they were traumatic. I mean, that particular one, I had a woman who lit her husband on fire. So, this is not, when you look at doctors out there who spend their lives in trauma or in the ER, I know why they check out. I don't know. Have you seen the movie Thunderbolts? I know I've asked this on so many podcasts. Oh, it is so good. It is so good. You're going to watch it. It's all about mental health. And yes, it's a Marvel movie, and I am a Marvel fan, and I will talk about it ad nauseum. And there's a line where they're talking about the darkness on the inside. And one of the characters says to the other, well, what do you do with it? And she says, I stuff it way down. And it's very humorous, but tell me that's not the truth. Because we have to function. We are in service. No matter what profession you're in, you are in service of others. So how do we balance that with, yes, we do have things that happen. No, we don't want to be reactionary. We have to have our stable base, see it happen, appreciate it, look at the lesson, not react. If I could do that, I just said, in my actual life, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, and it starts with small steps. One of the things that you said, and as you're sharing, it was fantastic, of your morning routine is even if I go to the gym and I know it's not going to be a great workout, what it does unconsciously is it's building self-trust. And as we continue to do those reps, it builds this story and this narrative that no matter what happens, even if it's crappy, no matter what, it's no longer what I do, it's who I am. I take care of myself. And as I do that more and more, what's interesting is now I'm able to stand in certainty and in confidence because I've got the reps behind me, as opposed to start again, stop again, start again, stop again. You know this, most people do what I call the New Year's resolution. They keep losing the same 20 pounds every single year.
Yes, February, I think it's February 8th, if I'm not mistaken, is National Quit Day.
Oh, interesting. I thought it
It's
was
actually,
only went 3 weeks.
right, I'm kind of surprised that they lasted that long. Because, yeah, and nobody goes to don't go to the gym in January. It's too damn crowded. So, and that is it. It is the more we stack the wins. It's atomic habits. The more we stack the wins, the more we win.
Yeah, I heard it the other day. I loved it. This one resonated with me. The person said, he goes, look, I'm on a winning streak. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, every single day I do things to stack these small wins. I'm on a winning streak, and I have a 100% success record. I have made it through every single day. No matter how crappy life has gotten, I am still alive. I am a survivor. And I thought, wow, that's actually pretty cool looking at it that way of I'm on a winning streak, and I have a 100% track record. Like, I've been successful at every single thing. Does that mean you've succeeded in everything? Oh no, I've got some wonderful failures, but it provided feedback, allowed me to learn from it, new iteration. I'm still alive. I stayed in the game.
I love that. Because you stayed in the game. I saw it recently somewhere where, and it's a common thread. Like you said about social media, my social media is very, very cultivated. It's business, it's inspiration, it's a lot of physician coaches. It's Sesame Street and cats. That's pretty much it. Some humor in there too, and some Marvel. But I saw this and it said the difference between a winner and a loser is how long they stayed in the game. It's like I know a lot of professional Ironman triathletes, and some of them, because again, it's 3 sports. It's who cares if you're a good runner if you suck as a swimmer. So there a lot of them at the end, they'll be gaining on the winner and the leader, and they just hit a point where I just didn't have enough time because they're gaining on them, but they needed more time to get there. The good news is there's no finish line in life. Well, there is a finish line, and at that point, nothing matters. So it's all good. But every day you have another chance. You have another chance to make a difference, to make a change.
And that's one of the biggest things. I know when I was struggling, I can still remember I walked out of where I was living that day with the intent to take my life. And it wasn't that I didn't want to be alive. It was I was in so much pain. I didn't see a way to not be in pain. And it's interesting because one of the exercises we take our clients through is to actually go back to the most painful moment, not to relive it, but to actually have a conversation with that version. And it's so interesting where now going back, I do it regularly, and I thank that version of me for staying in the game. Because I'm like, even though you couldn't see like how beautiful life is right now, how fulfilling, and like I am so satiated. I don't know how to explain it other than life is so full. I couldn't see that back then, but because there was a part of me that said, we're going to stay in the game. We'll figure it out. I don't know how long life is going to suck for, but we're just going to keep in the game. I'm like, the next 60, 70, 80 years, I'm so grateful for, because that young kid, there was something inside that didn't allow him to go forward with it. So that's kind of been my thing for a long time, is just stay in the game. We work a lot with vets, and so that's one of the things too, of trying to figure out how to reintegrate back into civilianhood. And there's so many daily suicides, and so the biggest thing is like, just stay in the game. Like, we'll figure this out together, but stay in the game.
We lose the equivalent of a medical school graduating class every year. And just physicians. We're not talking other professions, other healthcare professions. And I was at a similar spot because my brain, and that book is the 10-year story of me climbing out of the pit. Thank goodness it didn't take me 10 years, but that's kind of when it started. I wrote the book about 10 years after. And that gift of being at that point of either I change the way my brain told me was either I change the way I think or I don't think anymore. Because it was so painful to live in my mind. So when I have situations, even like today, where something it's hard for me to deal with. I can't, it's a lot of inputs. Again, it's that overload. It's a lot of inputs. It's a lot of requests coming in, changes in things. You feel off balance. I know now I can see that coming. And it's the Portia Nelson poem. I'm sure you know it. Walking Down the Sidewalk. Have you ever heard it?
Not that I can think of.
This is a game changer. You will use it.
Who's it by?
Portia Nelson, autobiography in 5 short chapters. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I still don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. It isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's habit. It's my fault. I know where I am. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. In chapter 5, I walk down a different street.
The question that came up for me while reading that is, what's been your best failure?
That is a hell of a question. My best failure is probably seen by a lot of people as success.
What do you mean by that?
My best failure right now is creating this lifestyle medicine practice. I'm 3 years in. We just celebrated 3 years in the black, never in the red, not venture capital back, never borrowed any money, bootstrapped this thing from day one. But we've been stagnant for about 18 months. And because I put a lid on it, I put me as the bottleneck, right? Because we're at the top, so that's what we do. And to me, it's a failure. I'm not serving enough people. I can't get my voice out there as much as I would have liked to yet. Again, I'm not done, and that finish line is way up there. So for today, it's a failure because I feel like I'm falling on my face. I'm fighting these processes. I'm trying to look down, fix things. But you know what? 95% of people would have given up by now. Money or not, they would have gone back to do another shift. And one of the things I tell my doctors, and it's always easier to work another shift. Like when you were in real estate, it's always easier to just go back to work and make the money until it's not.
Yeah, it's a very accepted societal way to sedate. Just be more successful. Keep working.
Yeah, this business shit's uncomfortable. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but I love it. I don't think
know.
I would have grown to where I am without this business thing. And then I know for a fact I won't grow to where I'm going to grow in the future without this. So it's this beautiful cycle of constant failure with iteration and seeing it as feedback, as opposed to thinking, oh, failure's final and it's factual and I suck at this, as opposed to, oh, I just made some choices. I'll learn.
Plot twist.
Yeah. As you were sharing of not being able to help enough people, I remember hearing the story, you may have heard about it, where there's the storm, I think it was over in England, and all these starfish wash up. There's like hundreds of thousands on the shore. And this little boy is taking one by one and throwing them back in the ocean. And the reporter, as she's reporting, she kind of starts making fun of the kid of like, look at this kid. Like, what does he think he's doing? He's not even putting a damage on this. And he interviews the kid and he goes, don't you know you're wasting your effort? Like, it doesn't matter. There's way too many to save. And he goes, you don't think it matters to this one? And he throws it back into the ocean, picks up the next one. You don't think it matters to this one? Every time I hear that, I'm like, oh. Because it does suck working in the healthcare field, because I wish I could say we have a 100% success rate. There hasn't been one client that's passed in 25 years from drug addiction. But the reality is when those don't do the work, there's free will choice. It's easy to stay sober in a center with doctors and therapists and case managers and staff and a community that's on fire for living this new way. But the reality is some people choose not to do the work when they get back and then go right back to using. And I used to take it so bad when I would get a call from the family like a year or two later that says, just wanted you to know they passed. We got to know them sober again for a while, so thank you. But just wanted to let you know that they went back. And I'm like, it's so hard to not take that personal and think like, man, could I have done better?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that a lot of people in healthcare look at it. I know for me, I still tend to make it selfish. It's about me. I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously? Right. Just be there for them, as opposed to, what could I have done better? I could have done this. No, just chill.
It's what happened. Yeah, that's not my forte. I can feel you there, because a good shift in the ER, nobody dies that's not supposed to, right? I guess everyone, again, that there's an existential question, right? Like, I have control. Like, yes, we can do our best. But when I talk about affecting the lives of my patients and affecting the lives of other high achievers and the doctors out there, the people in healthcare, which is, my book comes out October 14th.
Congrats.
So I'm extremely excited about it. I'm pouring everything I have into this book. I'm actually not taking on any more coaching clients right now, because it's going to be in the book. Just start with the book and then come to me when you're ready. Because like you said, it's easy to progress when you're in the middle of a coaching call, or you're in the middle of, you're doing the work and you're in the middle of this environment. But then when you walk out of that room, and let's even microcosm this, and you're like, yeah, well, it's not life and death. Yes, but eventually it will be. Because if you're not building the AMS lifestyle, if you're not building this life you're proud of, not even proud of, it's the life you love to live, like you said. So I'm going to quote Thunderbolts. I hope someone out there has seen it, because it's so full, so filled. And you're so fulfilled that your days are awesome. Like, you get up, like this morning I woke up with ideas. right? Like, oh, and I'm like, start writing. But that's the life you want to build, where you're living. It's because I work on health, income, and time freedom. So like you're living a life in a body that you're proud to be in, that feels good. You just put clothes on. You don't have to think, oh, does that fit me? You just put clothes on. It feels good. You go do your stuff. Income freedom, where you love what you do for a job. You love the money coming in as a reflection of the value you're putting out in the world. And then time freedom, where you get to do what you want with whom you like to do it. That's it. And I have so many people tell me that's not possible. Well, let me rephrase. I had. Now I'm starting to get comments of, I want what you have. I don't know if you get that as well.
Well, yeah. Well, most people come in thinking it's an education issue, but I've realized nowadays with ChatGPT and YouTube and I mean everything, it's like it's not education, it's application and then eventually execution. And that's the consistency that we're here for. And so I know one of the things is we help people overcome their vices and start living differently. And then there's so much more too. How do I really kick into the next level of life? And so that's really where, and one of the reasons why I go on podcasts is because I kind of have a unique advantage of 25 years and seeing thousands and thousands and thousands of case studies come through the center. And some end up going on and thriving in a beautiful marriage, starting businesses. It's like they've got that American dream, where others go right back and keep struggling. And so again, being the guy not afraid to ask the dumb questions, I started asking, doing a 1-year follow-up, 3-year, 5-year. We just had a 20-year follow-up successful case study, and looking and finding out, because I thought, wait a minute, you two came in within like a day or two of each other. You had the same therapist, the same case manager, you're in the same groups, and you graduated within a week of each other. One is thriving 3 or 4 years later. The other is continually struggling. So as I started asking questions, I started finding these patterns, and that was the very cool thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, these patterns, I thought it was like this magical box that like once a person figures out, they see and they apply, but I found it's not that. It's actually small, consistent daily actions, which we can call the work. And there's 5 different areas. I call it the 5 foundational freedoms. And I write about it in my book, The Recovery Way. And I just started to see this. And so one of the things that we do, and if it's okay with you, I just created a Google document, because the cool thing about frameworks is it doesn't matter what season you're in life, you can apply whatever action you want into the framework and it works. So I've just put together a Google document going over in depth the 5 foundational freedoms, the little daily work that the ones that are building businesses and marriages and families and just enjoying life do. So if you follow me, so my Instagram is at Pacific Shores Recovery. So if they follow me and just DM next level, I'll give them that Google document, and there's like little lessons. There's actually a few videos in there, but of how to apply this to life at any season. And it was so cool. It's like, seeing these patterns, I was able to just step back and ask, kind of be the curator of seeing here's what works versus what doesn't work. Here's the actions they took versus the ones they didn't take. And it was so much simpler than I thought it would be.
Is next level all one word or 2?
It doesn't matter. If they DM me, I'm like, what are they wanting? I just like, here's the information, guys.
Okay.
Apply it. Don't overthink it, because
So that was a fantastic example of the way my brain works.
Meaning?
Let me get this right. Before I typed, I asked, how about you just do it and ask for forgiveness? You know what I mean? Like, really, is that the decision you're going to hang your hat on today?
Real time. Why didn't you do it? I wasn't sure if it was hyphenated, 2 words, 1
What
word.
if are they all supposed to be capitalized?
Yeah.
Like, was it just the capitals in the beginning?
Every other letter capitalized. Isn't it funny? Like, this is what I love about learning about neuroscience and being in the mental health field is we see where our brain actually gets in the way.
God.
And then the stories we have around it versus it's just a protective mechanism. Like before
Absolutely.
I thought these thoughts, I'm like, oh, I'm so funny. Oh, I'm an idiot. And I hated that. And I thought, well, what's my story tied to being an idiot? Because I can be it sometimes. And sometimes I can be freaking genius. They're both true. What if we release the stories, release the triggers, and just be able to experience whatever the hell's happening? It makes life so much more free.
That's a super interesting, that's a concept I've been butting up against. This last month has been, we're coming up on exactly a month of excruciating change and growth, which is pretty, I laugh. I have to laugh because it's kind of absurd. Once you tell the universe, like, you're ready to go, it's not going to slow down. My coach yesterday actually told me, I have two primary coaches that I deal with, and one of them said, so pretty much, you created this vehicle and you're going fast, and now your family's hopping in and they're like, let's hit the gas. And you're like, wait, that's faster than I was comfortable with. And that's really what's happening. And my brain, which we just saw a fantastic, I guess, example of, is that's the handbrake right there. Oh, wait, let's make sure this is the right decision. That decision should have taken 0 brain space. 0. Less than 0. Because I message you, if I don't get the resource, I message you again and said, hey, can I get this? Because I really want the framework. When I'm thinking about, and I say this a lot with food addiction, especially with people, because everyone I work with pretty much, well, we're human. I heard a psychiatrist speak once that was fantastic. And he says, addiction is the reward system gone awry. And once it's been tipped over, you cannot bring it back. You have to manage it. You can manage it and bring it back, but you're never going to heal it. Like, it's never going away. You've got to pay attention. You've got to create the frameworks, create the structure to live in it. Anyhow, but I tell people all the time, with food addiction, or we can have this debate forever. Who really cares? Is it an addiction? I don't give a shit. All I know is I have trouble with it. Okay. So there are things I need to do
in my life.
Exactly. It needs to be in a certain spot in my life. But like something you said really hit me with this. It's the identity of who you are. And I've been hearing this from people very close to me for literally decades. It's your identity. You wake up and you live this way. For a long time, I lived as a doctor, as an ER doctor in my specific hospital. And that identity shift was excruciating for me. I didn't understand how much I latched onto that. I didn't see it. Again, and someone told me this week. I loved it. You can't see the label. You can't read the label from inside the bottle. And that's why we hire coaches. That's why we are on podcasts with people that we respect, because you will hold a mirror up. Just like you said, you're going to hold this mirror up and I'm going to see it and say, shit.
Yeah. Well, that pain from wherever it comes from creates this constant cycle that leads to future fear. And then that becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy because of the story that I attach to the identity. That's the part that we start looking at, going, okay, who am I if I'm not a doctor?
And then that curiosity.
Shit.
Yeah.
I have no clue. That's what we do with a lot of vets that come through. Who are you? No longer a soldier. And you can see the brain like, I don't know. I didn't know who I was before. That was why I enlisted.
That's it, right?
And a lot of therapists do that too. Why did you become a therapist? Well, my family was really broken. I was broken. And this is the part that distinguishes the difference. Most start getting involved and then they want to help other people heal and they don't go through the work on a daily basis themselves. And so they keep that constant cycle. I call it the comfort among the chaos.
It is comfort among the chaos. I love that phrase. Most of us had something dysfunctional in our childhood.
It's called growing up.
It's like, yeah, you have no coping skills. And, many of us had, look at the generations before. Come on, we're human. We don't know what we're doing. Like, we're all muddling around. We're just, whatever. We're all muddling around for sure. When we have these, I don't even want to call them maladaptive because like you said, listen, I'm alive. I'm rocking it, right? Whatever coping skills we used got us to today. And those of us who are in high achieving professions of any sort, we're really good at finding ways to make it through, to carry the load. Just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Yeah.
What do we need to?
I kept trying to figure out how to feel better instead of getting better at feeling. Yeah. I had my list of here's the good emotions I want to feel. Here's the bad emotions I want to numb out, sedate, stuff. And like I was sharing earlier, I battled depression to the point where I was suicidal. And fortunately, I had a mentor in my life that had a great way at kicking you in the crotch, but in a loving way. And so the first thing I had to overcome was fear of failure. He goes, Mark, you are a failure. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? He goes, and I'm glad you're a failure. Here's why. You failed at arguably one of the easiest things in the world, taking your own life. He goes, you failed at that. He goes, and I'm so thankful. And I went, my brain broke. I never thought of failure as being one of the most beautiful things in my life. And as that started to penetrate, I was like, wow, oh my gosh, thank you for me being a failure in certain areas of life that allow me to go on and do really well in other areas. That was such an absolute game changer. And then the second part, this was a different mentor, is he said, why don't you sit in the pit of pain with your depression instead of trying to bury it, to sedate, and actually just asked, what is it you're wanting me to know? And so I went deep within and started doing the work. And this part still to this day, I get chills when I think about it. And this was only been maybe in the last 5 or 6 years. I remember I was just bawling one day. At first, I'm totally judgmental. I don't want you in my life. Why do you keep showing up? I'm supposed to be cured and better. And I finally shut up and I just said, I've never given you a voice. And no joke, this is how I have a beautiful, this is going to sound weird, but I have a beautiful relationship with my depression now. My depression said, I just want a seat at the table. And I went, he goes, I see in and I see the table and I see happiness and ecstasy and joy and fulfillment and beauty. You guys are having such a great time and I'm outside and you don't even say you know me. And I was like, I've never invited you in fully and accepted you for who you are. And I don't know how to explain it other than once I said, you have a seat at the table and you're welcome anytime you want. And it was like all of a sudden, he was just, that's all I've been wanting. And now I look at emotional states so much differently than I did before, of good or bad. And now it's like, I welcome them all. And for some reason, as soon as I gave depression all that attention, it's like, that was all I needed. And it went away. And it visits a few times a year. It just kind of pops up. I'm like, hey, buddy, what do you need? I just need to know I still got that seat. We good? Yeah. He's like, all right, I love you. And it's totally transformed my life.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Actually, you can't see it from here, but up behind me, and if you're on, listening on Apple, you can't hear it. I have the Inside Out figurines up here. Because, let's be real. Like, that sadness is real. If I would have taken, when I lost my position at the main ER that was my home for 13 years, if I would have sat there and felt it, it wouldn't have taken me a year and a half to move through. Now, I was supposed to take a year and a half to move through. I don't know why. Why? Because I did. So I know that's what was supposed to happen. And, like what you said, your experiences, if you hadn't gone through that, you can't help other people. And that's what we're here for. Even, we talked about early in the conversation, it's helping people. It's, you want to look back at yourself and say, oh, like your depression, I just want a seat at the table. It's like sadness. I want a seat at the table. The anxiety just needs to know, hey, listen, I'm letting you know something. Okay, what is it? Oh, never mind. That was a childhood thing. My bad. And that's it. And she walks away. But it doesn't make her less valuable because those feelings are what kept us alive.
Yeah, it's all part of us.
The fact that we're failures, that's the reason we're here.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that we tell our clients here is that you suffer because of what you withhold, not from what's been withheld. And as we start to deconstruct those stories that we tell ourselves, that's where true freedom is found. Like when you think of everything, it's, what am I telling myself? It's thoughts and internal words that create my entire world.
And then it does. And then it creates your external world. Mm-hmm. And that's a big theme of my first book. And that book was more of a catharsis, right? Like your first book's always like, let me just get this thing out. And thoughts do become things. Mm-hmm. If we don't pay attention to that, if you're a doctor, healthcare professional, therapist, and you're like, well, I don't know a different way to do things. Just because you don't know the different way to do things doesn't mean there isn't a different way to do things. And so many of us are stuck. And the way I phrased it recently is we are boxed in by that frame around our diploma because we don't know. And so what do? Oh, I'm going to take, like you said, it's education, right? Oh, I'm going to take another course because that's going to fix it. No, you are perfect just the way you are. Please help someone. Just go out and help someone. And that's the conduit. That's how you do the work. Like you said, people don't do the work because they're helping from here out. And if those of you who are listening, it's the space in front of me. You've got to have the space all the way through you. That's how you help. And that's how you're healed.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things, I know for me, it was once I became aware, there was even potentially a different way. I learned what I'm not changing, I'm actually now choosing. And it went from victim to now, oh, I'm choosing to stay a victim. Okay, that does not resonate. That actually
I don't like that.
Me off.
Yeah, exactly. And, if it's the Rush song, free will. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. That shows you my age right there. But it's all right. It's all good. But that's it. What we do not choose, we choose.
Yeah, it's a choice. That's the beautiful thing. At first, it's an incarceration. And once you realize it, it becomes this total freedom.
Yeah. And that's the goal. That's the goal, is to be able to take a breath. Right? Take a breath, live in whatever is today. Not the easiest. And for a lot of my colleagues, they're in a situation where they do not want to be where they are. Therefore, they numb, whether it's work or thinking, oh, I have 12 more years of this and then I can retire. That's a long 12 years.
Yeah. And also the statistics, what happens when a person retires.
I mean, especially military and police.
That's why one of the biggest things that we say is, what if you create a life you don't ever want to sedate or retire from? Now we're talking. Then that actually allows us to do the work and start reattaching these meanings. And instead of going to a negative place of going, okay, I actually attach excitement to growth and growing pains, where before I would sedate because I found it uncomfortable.
Yep, exactly. Choose relevance over retirement.
I like that one.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if, like, I mean, your job, I hear it in your voice, you could do this forever.
Oh, not you could. I am. Like when people are like, oh, what are you going to do? I got friends retiring that stayed in real estate. I'm like, bro, I love you. I wake up Mondays excited to come in. I see you on Mondays and you're getting ready for the weekend and you don't even have weekends anymore. You're like, crap. Like, I want to do this in my hundreds.
Right. I don't have weekends by choice. People are like, but you work every day. I don't want that kind of life. I'm like, well, I work when I want to. So I don't work all day every day.
That's because your play to others looks like work.
Yeah. And it happens to pay me money.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So I could talk to you forever, for sure. We will wrap this up. Tell people again the best way to get a hold of you, because you are an amazing resource.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. So we have a website, pacificshoresrecovery.com, but the best way to get a hold of me is our Instagram is at Pacific Shores Recovery. Follow, DM, I'll engage you. I'm the one that's doing all the communication on there. I like jumping on and just making sure people are getting what they need. So yeah, you'll be talking to me if you jump on there. And if you want to travel the website, you can see where we are out here in Orange County, California. It's gorgeous out here.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure. And to the listeners, thank you for your time and attention. We will see you next time.
Appreciate you.